I'm Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot, and I'm here with Farah Yurdozu, and we are very pleased to be here in Istanbul, Turkey, under some very extraordinary circumstances that made this possible. And let me say in advance, thank you to the people who made this possible, and that should be enough there. I want to say that I've always admired you and your work.
Same here.
Thank you.
Likewise.
And I think that we've traveled down some similar roads, and I'm very interested to hear where your thoughts are at this time about the world, about this situation with ETs, UFOs, and jinn, whatever you want to call them, etc. So I think we have a lot to talk about. Very excited to have this discussion with you, and I think this is a great opportunity.
So this is a wonderful surprise to me, to meet you in Istanbul, in my homeland. As you know, I lived in the United States for many years, and probably we were on the same conferences a few times, but I don't think that we ever had the chance to meet in person. So it's wonderful to meet you in person here. Thank you very much for this invitation. Thank you very much for having me on your show. That's a big honor for me. So yes, I have been in research of many things for many years. So I started with metaphysical subjects many years ago when I was very young. And then of course paranormal, and then esoteric knowledge investigations and UFOs came. So actually in Turkey it is very logical that I am involved in all these things because, as you know, we have a very ancient history in Turkey. Official history goes back to 6,000 years ago. But there are some places, there are some natural places, there are some artificial places made by human race which goes back to 10,000 years ago, maybe more, older. So this is a country of mysteries. This is a country of miracles. And everything, when you make a research, goes back to extraterrestrial intelligence, extraterrestrial force in some ways. And I would like to give you a tour, actually, in Turkey, if we had time.
I wish.
Starting from Istanbul, starting from where we are right now, Sultanahmet. Because now we are in the city center, in the historical city center of Istanbul. And this place was before Constantinople. It was Byzance. And when we look at back to the history, we saw lots of reptilian connections. And inside of this area in Sultanahmet, there are a few places that left by the reptilians.
Oh, really?
Made by reptilians.
Okay.
Left by reptilians. So wherever you go in Istanbul, it is on your face. Extraterrestrial force or reptilian force or out of this world, whatever you call, we don't know. So I think it was very logical for me to start this investigation. And my formal education is foreign languages. I'm a Spanish language teacher, and today I was teaching, that's why I'm late a little bit. And I was teaching Spanish in New York City too, in a language school. So although my formal education is language, foreign language teaching, this was always my passion. It is my passion. So
yes.
I keep giving conferences in Turkey, doing television shows and everything, yes.
And Turkey is very open to hearing about these things.
Very open to share, to interchange the knowledge, and it is impossible to hide because when you go to museums, and here we are again, the archaeological museum
Yes.
is very close to this hotel, it is over there. It is on display, everything.
It is
how can you hide
fascinating.
Yes.
Now we did go to the archaeological museum, and we saw this special exhibit that was separate in a different building, and had fascinating, really fascinating things there. And I highly recommend it to anyone that must go to this other building. This kind of it's near the front gate and so on. And
building.
they have griffins. And they have what look like they are genetically engineered animals, carvings of these animals.
Yeah,
and we also went to the Mosaic Museum.
Next to it, yeah.
And in the mosaics, again, you have these what look like genetically engineered animals, griffins as well, and even I think we've also seen, for example, even a part tiger, part bird. I mean, something very strange. And what I wonder, because I've researched Dulce and the genetic engineering, and we know about Atlantis and all of this. I wonder your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So we really don't know what was the science thousands of years ago, and who brought that science to this planet. Mm-hmm. And maybe nobody brought this science. It was already there. Maybe we came to this planet from somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Maybe they were the real owners of this planet. They were the real owners of the knowledge, of the science and everything. So I would like to talk about a little bit ancient Hittite society, Hittite kingdom, Hittite race. So they were the first organized nation of Turkish land. And today's Turkey, all over Turkey, was Hittite kingdom.
Okay.
The origin of Hittite kingdom is not known. Thousands of years ago, more than 10,000 years ago, they came from somewhere in the north to this land. And suddenly, very fast, they started a very high civilization, very developed civilization. But the only thing is that Hittite race had the first organized army, had the first organized government system. And their army was very much developed in their time. And later they had lots of wars, battles with the Egyptians. But Hittite society, Hittite race, was controlled by the gods and goddesses. They had 85 gods and goddesses. So they were controlling the society. They were teaching everything, how to live, how to make buildings, how to create an army and everything. But these gods and goddesses were in the human form. They were eating, they were drinking, they were getting married to the humans. They weren't getting married between each other, gods to goddesses, no. They were getting married to the humans, and they were having children. A new race was starting. Okay,
so would you say these are the Anunnaki, and are these very tall? Do you have evidence of the tall beings?
We can say that, yes, they were tall, because in the old sculptures, gods and goddesses were always represented bigger than the humans.
Okay.
And the other thing, at the same time, the most important god of Hittite society was Teshup. Teshup. His name was Teshup. Teshup was the air god because he was related to the atmosphere, he was related to the wind, he was related to weather. And he was in the human form, just like a normal man with beards and white skin, normal man. But there were other groups of gods too. They were coming from the underground, and they were reptilian.
And now, are these depicted somewhere?
Yes, of course. You can see lots of ancient relics about this story in Ankara. Anatolian History Museum, Anatolian Civilizations Museum, and I can send you the photographs later. So you can use for this conversation, for this interview. Yes, and actually there is a wonderful big sculpture shows the battle between two gods, with the human form Nordic god, Teshup, and the reptilian god, which was called Ilyanka. Anyway, at the end of the story, the daughter of the reptilian god and the son of the Nordic god gets married, and a new nation starts. So these things can be symbolic, but these things can be genetic too.
Yes, absolutely.
So can we say that a reptilian race and the Nordic race got together and started to a new race?
Very interesting.
It is. I mean, in many nations of the world, in many different geographies, we see the same story is repeating.
Yes.
Not only in Turkey. I mean, you
Yes.
can see the same thing in United States, I mean, in North America, South America, in many places, in Asia. I don't know if there's things like that in Britain. Probably there is. In Britain
Well, we
also
see a
reptilian
repeat
things.
of, especially on ancient monuments of all kinds, of
Yeah.
the reptilians.
Yeah.
This we see constantly, and references constantly to this, and also to birds,
Bird
bird people.
people, yes.
Yeah,
Half human, half bird
like
people.
Thoth,
Yeah.
the ancient Egyptian
Yeah.
so-called god.
Yeah. In old Ottoman relics, in old Ottoman paintings, we see lots of half birds, half human beings, creatures. And of course, they are celestial beings. They are beings which brings good luck. Sometimes good luck to the humans, sometimes bad luck to the humans.
But they are celestial. It can be symbolic as well because they come from the sky.
Yes, that's
Correct?
why. That's why,
So
yes.
they're depicted with wings, meaning they fly, but it is not necessary that we think of them as actually with wings so much as they
They are
could be
angels or
spacemen.
angels. Yeah.
There is in the museum that we saw of archaeology here just a couple of days ago, this man who is a very strange man, and he's a carving with a man. He has a hat, and he's huge, just gigantic.
The white one. The
I
big
think-
white one?
I guess so, and he has claws. His feet are like hooves,
Okay.
and it is. It doesn't. He doesn't have arms. I guess those are destroyed or whatever. But it's a very strange, unusual-looking person, not like anything else. Nothing else.
Okay, I would like to see the picture
Yeah.
so I can...
So I'll show it to you later, and
Later,
we'll see
yeah.
if you have some thoughts about this.
Okay,
and then we
wonderful.
can write in about it. But what I wanted to ask you is, I know that you had a family history.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and so if we could talk a little bit about your family history,
Yeah, of
because
course.
that seems to. You are an unusual woman, I think, even though Turkey may be talking about these subjects. Tell me about this.
In Turkey, talking about these subjects is very normal, you know.
Okay.
Because I think in that side we are very much open-minded, because the experiences are always in our daily life. So if I call the reception now,
Yes.
and if I call the guy here, what do
Really?
you think about UFOs? He will say, yes, I believe UFOs, I saw, or my cousin saw, something like this.
Okay.
Or what do you think about, let's say, paranormal activity? He will say, yes, I had experiences, so this is so normal. I mean,
So
it's
and
obvious.
and is jinn always the word they?
Oh yes, jinn always. So first, let me start with a little bit jinn. Jinns are interdimensional beings. Interdimensional beings. They don't have a physical body just like us, but probably they have a body, but it is a different vibration, and our biological eyes cannot see it. But maybe we can see them in different circumstances. And they don't belong to this dimension, to the world, but they come and go. They can enter and leave this dimension. They belong to another realm, to another dimension. That's why we call them interdimensional. The only thing is that they can spend time here for a short time, and sometimes they can use the image of somebody else that we know, sometimes a deceased person from our family. Sometimes they use the image of an animal, like a dog, mostly black dog,
Oh, yeah?
sometimes a cat, mostly black cat, and sometimes a crow.
Okay.
So birds,
Sure.
dog, cat.
To me, I listened to your interview, one of your interviews, as preparation to speak with you today, and I heard you mention about the jinn, and you actually said that you thought that they were reptilian in nature somehow,
Well,
and that they abduct as well children.
Oh yes, of course. So actually, jinns exist in every society's mythology, in every society's belief system, and jinns existed before the religions,
Right.
before Islam, before Christian religion, before Hebrew. they were already created. They existed, jinns, they existed before the humans, before the religions. Yes, Islam accepts jinns.
Do they consider them bad or good, or
Bad and good.
both?
Bad and good.
I see.
Because there are different groups. And people are asking me, what are these jinns? Are they good? Are they bad? How do they look like? And I'm saying that, look, think about Europe. There are many European countries, but all of them are European. An Italian person is European.
Uh-huh.
A German is European.
Sure,
A French is European.
that's right.
But they look like different. They
Uh-huh.
eat different. Their
Yes.
culture is different. But all of them are European.
Absolutely.
It's just like this.
Yes.
I mean, imagine their music is different, their food is different, their culture is different. A German person is tall and blonde. A Greece person is short and dark-skinned, or whatever. I mean, something like this.
Mhm.
So yes, there are different groups of jinns. There are different groups of interdimensional beings, paranormal beings, and Islam accepts jinns. Christian religion accepts jinns because in the Bible we see how Jesus Christ was dealing with the demons, how he was dealing with the
Sure.
possessed people. And also, this is very important, you know, actually Christian religion started in Turkey because St. Paul was born in Turkey. He was born in Tarsus.
Oh, yes.
And after Jesus Christ was gone, he started to teach his teachings, his religion. St. Paul, he started to his travels from Turkey to Europe, to Rome. He was teaching Christian religion. And meanwhile, there are two very important cities that next time you have to go there.
Okay.
In the west coast of Turkey, Ephesus and Pergamon, antique cities. These are very powerful Roman Empire cities because in that time Turkey was a part of the Roman Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And Ephesus was the capital city of the Roman Empire of Turkey. So why is important? Short. Ephesus and Pergamon, antique cities, were the headquarters of the reptilians.
Really?
Yes.
So, if you can explain how you found this information about reptilians
Yeah.
in
Okay.
these ancient cities in Turkey
Yeah,
here.
okay. As you know, reptilian race is a very ancient race, and they have been using a symbology in order to communicate with us and in order to communicate with each other. Symbology is their language, and they left their symbols, their seals, in most of the places in Turkey, as well as in other parts of the world. Especially in Pergamon, antique city, the official symbolism is snake. Snake comes from the reptilian race,
Sure.
because they are also known as the snake race.
Yes.
In some parts of the world, they are called, also in Turkey, they are called sons of the snake, sons of the reptile, sons of the reptilians. There are different names. So when you go to Pergamon, you see the snake symbol everywhere. The other thing is that in Pergamon, there was the most ancient healing center, Asclepion. It was built in the name of the health god Asclepius. Asclepius was the snake god.
Oh.
He was depicted with a rod wrapped a snake. So just like Hermes. But Hermes symbol, Mercury, god Hermes, his symbol is double snake.
Hermes, yes.
Yes,
And
Hermes.
okay, so and this is where the caduceus we call
Caduceus, yes, Caduceus.
comes.
But Asclepius has one snake.
Uh-huh.
And today, Caduceus is still used as a pharmaceutical and medical symbol
Yes.
in the hospitals, on ambulances, everywhere. And the other thing is that, let's talk about Ephesus. Ephesus was the very center of the reptilian goddess worshipping, because there was the Artemis, goddess Artemis temple there, and it was the most important religion there.
Okay.
So many people was coming from the other parts of Turkey, other parts of the continent, to temple of Artemis in order to worship. But Artemis temple wasn't only a temple, it was also a bank. It was also a bank. And today, when you go to New York City, to Wall Street, the stock share building is the complete replica of the Artemis temple in Ephesus.
Really?
So, worshipping money comes from there.
Okay, that's very interesting. But Artemis, wasn't she a hunter?
Yes, normally in Greek and Roman mythology, yes, she was a hunter. In Turkey, in Ephesus, Artemis is a little bit different goddess.
Okay.
Yes, it is the same goddess worshipping. It is the same goddess worshipping. But in Turkey, Artemis goddess actually was not only hunting animals, they were hunting humans as well. Because in that time, in Ephesus and as well as in Bergama, esoteric practices was very important. Everybody was using esoteric practices. Actually, they were practicing black magic. Black magic, yes. And I was talking about Hittites. The first black magic was given to humans by the Hittite gods.
Okay.
Because they were practicing black magic as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, it's a big time gap between them. But in Ephesus, most of the people were practicing esotericism and black magic. And also, they were possessed by demons. And I think that those demons were reptilians.
Yes.
In Bible, it says that the throne of the Satan is in Pergamon. Of course, there wasn't a throne, but it was the center of the reptilians.
Very interesting.
Yes. So, actually, Christian religion was born as a necessity because of the reptilian force, reptilian power. Reptilians had a religion too. Their worshipping was based on blood. Sacrifices, yeah. But not only animals, also the humans. It's happening today too.
Really?
Yes, of course.
So you're talking about vampirism and
comes from
Satanism and all of
comes
this.
from that. Yes. And the other thing is that, let's go back to Hittites again. Yes, Hittites, gods and goddesses were in the human form. They were bringing high technology for that time, of course. They were bringing knowledge to the human. They were educating them. And they said, we are gods and goddesses and you have to worship us. Okay, but there wasn't any religious texts, any book. There wasn't a prophet. So what was the religion? How to worship them? They said, if you want to worship us, you have to give us food. You have to give us wine. You have to give us gold. Why gold? Because they need it for their technology.
That's right, yes.
They need it for their technology.
And what about for longevity as well? Yeah.
And you have to give us human and animal blood.
Yes.
So why they needed human and animal blood? For their genetical research, obviously. And animal blood was very important. You know, in cattle mutilations, especially in the United States, when the dead body of the animal is found, every drop of blood is taken.
That's right.
They take the blood.
Yeah, there
They
you
don't
go.
need the rest of the animals.
Yes.
They remove some of the internal organs, but basically in cattle mutilations, after some UFO sightings, they remove all the blood. Animal blood is very important. Human blood as well.
Absolutely.
So it started with Hittites in Turkey.
So do you have, I haven't been to these places, but do you have altars where they do sacrifices on this?
Oh yes, of course. I mean, actually that's so strange. In the museum that you have been, there are altars too.
Oh really?
Yes.
Okay. But
Yeah.
I might not have recognized them
of
as
course.
such.
There are,
So,
yes.
We're actually talking about, I want to come back because this was a very short, quick trip. And I want to take you with me
Okay.
and go to Göbekli Tepe and get you to come and guide us around
Wonderful.
as well.
I will
And
be
I think we
very
will
happy.
have a fabulous
I would be very
adventure.
happy. Yes, I
Yeah,
would be
and
very happy.
that would be so wonderful. So I had asked you earlier a little bit about yourself and your history and your
yes.
family.
Yeah.
So, because again, you still are something of a unique person to do this particular job or investigation in your country, because I don't know that there are many women
No,
doing this
there
kind of
aren't,
thing.
actually, there aren't. It's very strange. I started officially 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And in my country, in Turkey, my 6 books were published, basically about UFOs.
Okay.
And about all these topics that we are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And after me, nobody else, no other lady, no other girl, no other woman tried to enter into this field.
Right.
So, I mean, I want to invite to the girls to do something in this, because you know what? Women, female brain or female soul has a sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
We feel, we sense some things. It is very important.
Yeah.
I mean, like a sixth sense, developed sixth sense, maybe developed seventh sense. So about my family, my roots are from Russia, Bulgaria, and Libya.
Okay, so are you Turkish as well? I don't understand.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, because when we were Ottoman Empire,
Yes.
Ottoman Empire was a dynasty for 800 years. It was a ruling dynasty, almost the same territory of the Roman Empire.
Mm-hmm.
So our territory was very wide, and some parts of the North African countries belonged to Ottoman Empire. Some parts of the Balkans, Eastern European countries, belonged to Ottoman Empire. That's why all the nation was Ottoman, and we were traveling. My great-grandfathers were working, both great-grandfathers actually, in the Ottoman Empire.
Ah.
So they were sent to different parts.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they got married to the women in the other parts, and they came back, and the children were born in Turkey. So yes, we are Turkish. But that's the history of the Turkish race, I mean.
Really?
Yes. So when you ask, so many people's great-grandfathers are from Balkans, are from Egypt, or some from north part of Turkey. Anyway, so let's talk about my grandmother's father. I mean, from my mother's side, of course. He was a university teacher. He was teaching at the Istanbul University, the same university that I finished, but he was teaching law.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also teaching French language. He was a writer. When this thing happened, he was 35 years old, something, but of course he was already married, and he had 5 children. One of the children is my grandmother.
Okay.
So, my great-grandfather was sent to Baghdad.
To
Iraq.
where?
Baghdad,
Oh, okay.
Iraq.
Yes.
Okay. So he couldn't take his family with him, and he was working as a government teacher, so his salary was very limited. He was only able to rent a house in Baghdad and live there by himself, but the money wasn't enough because he was also sending money to Istanbul, to his family. And he was having also problems, economic problems, a new country, new environment. He was teaching whatever. And one day, he leaves the house in order to go to school, and an Arab guy is waiting for him on the sidewalk, a completely strange guy, an old man. And he stops my great-grandfather, says that, I want to speak with you, I know you, this is your name, and you have a family, you are having difficulties, economical problems, and I want to help you. So, I'm going to give you some orations, like a talisman.
Okay.
You are going to practice this, and some people will come and will help you. But whatever it happens, please don't be scared, and be patient at the end. So, my great-grandfather at the beginning doesn't believe him, but when he comes back to home by himself, he says, okay, let's try it. And he does, he repeats whatever he needs to do, the practices, and he goes to bed. and he's alone at home. Of course, there isn't anybody else. After a while, the door opens, two reptilians come.
Really?
Yes.
Now, does he describe them?
Of course, in that time, nobody knew about UFOs. Nobody knew about reptilians. For him, they were demonic beings.
Oh.
They were satanic beings. Why? Because they were huge. They were walking on their 2 feet.
Okay.
They were a hybrid kind of looking, half human, half reptilian. And he was very much scared, of course, because they had snake eyes.
Ah, interesting. Yes.
Yes, snake eyes.
Now, how did you hear this story? Did he tell you this story? Did he tell your
No,
pet
I
mother?
never. No, of course, I never met him because he died long before I was born. But of course, after this happened, he immediately told it to his wife, and from his wife to their children, But this is not the only story in our family. There are many other stories like this. So, I mean, for some reason, our family always lived in possessed houses, ghost haunted houses.
Okay, so these beings showed up, and did they try to do something for him?
Yes, of course. They didn't speak with words.
Okay.
They didn't open their mouths. Mm-hmm. They were trying to communicate with him with sign language. Sign language. They were doing some hand gestures, hand movements. And one of them was at the foot part of the bed, and the other one went to the head part of the bed. And they were trying to tell him something. They were trying to communicate with him. But my great-grandfather was in a huge panic. He was very much scared, and he was shaking, and the heavy bed was shaking too. So he started to read some verses from the Quran to send them back. And he managed to send them back, but they were very angry. Because, I mean, they say, you invited us, you interrupt us, and now you are sending us back. And before they went, a telepathical message, they say, from you to 3 generations. I'm the 3rd generation.
Okay. Well, from you to 3, meaning some
it
kind
means
of
that we are
curse
going
or...
to be in touch.
Oh,
we are living now,
I see.
but we are going to be in touch.
Ah.
So in our family, after that, he had 5 children. 4 of them, especially 4 of them, suddenly developed a psychic ability. My grandmother, his younger brother, his older sister, and another brother. Yes.
Okay.
So they were 5, and one of the brothers were a judge in Ankara. Actually, he was practicing hypnotic regression work in Ankara. Yes.
Okay. Now, but also in your this happened to you as well then.
Yeah, it affected me.
Okay.
Because I'm the 3rd generation.
And what about your mother?
Yes, my mom and her sisters were always in the middle of some experiences, but because of their education, it was a different kind of education, they rejected. They didn't want to accept it. So many things, because when they were young girls, there was a different kind of mentality.
Okay.
So they rejected. They came until a certain point. They knew that there was something else outside of this world. And especially my aunt, she was very much involved in these things. But she died very young. She was 35 years old because she had a kind of cancer. And yes, my mom was very much inside too, but I did lots of the heavy work.
Okay. So have you also been communicated with by what you think are reptilians?
I'm not sure if they were reptilians, but since I was a little girl, yes, I had some visitors.
Okay.
In the human form, but in a very strange way. I mean, what humans comes from the closed windows?
Sure. Well, do you think when you're talking about sort of jinn, are you talking about what we call grays?
Okay. So I'm only saying you what I'm thinking. I may be wrong. I'm
Sure.
not the authority.
Okay.
I think Greys have a physical body. I think Greys are biological robots. They don't have a soul. Maybe they have an artificial intelligence, but like a computer.
Sure. Well, from what I understand, there are some grays that are exactly as you say. We call them programmable biological entities.
Yes.
And there are some that are actually races of beings that are actually with reptilian DNA.
Yeah.
And they are the ones oftentimes that also are abducting. So the programmable beings are under the sort of rule of, it could be a Nordic, it could be a large regular reptilian or a reptilian human, or it could be a military, like my lab, this
Yeah.
sort of thing. So when you were a child, were you abducted or any of that?
Visited.
Visited, okay. And what about did your mother or aunts ever say anything like that?
Okay, here is the thing. It's a very strange story. It started to happen probably when I was 3 years old. And I had this experience hundreds of times. Almost every night. So everything starts in the same way. Just before the sun rises. In my bedroom, I had my bed like this, and this part was the window. So the curtains were open, and I remember this very clear. I look at from the window, I'm in the bed, and I see the clouds. Okay, regular clouds, gray clouds. And when I'm looking at them, the clouds are starting to change their shapes, and they become 3 people.
Ah.
One young man, one old man, one young man, one young woman, and one old woman. And they were coming into the bedroom from the closed windows
I see.
to my bed, and they were turning me. They were doing something on my back. And I was very much scared of them. They were saying, you are not going to tell anything to your family.
Really?
You shouldn't say. This is a secret. And this was repeating again and again and again and again. And I was very, very, very much scared of them. And this kept going for a while, probably until I was 5 years old, until I started to school. But the fear was so strong, I wasn't able to talk about this experience until I was 22 years old.
Right. Sure.
So many years.
Okay, and but other than that, did you have any like positive, what you would say is positive experience?
You know what? Some of the experiences, they show you symptoms. They show you signs. They protect you. Yes, of course, definitely. But in that kind of positive messaging or positive effects, they don't show themselves. They don't need to show an image.
Sure.
They just give you the medicine. They just give you the solution. They just show you the sign. It's like an arrow.
Yes.
It shows the right way. And if you listen to them, okay, you are lucky. Yes.
Okay, very good. Yes. So you got into UFOs. You must have, you started investigating. How did you actually, you became very well known. You're famous here in Turkey and outside the country as well, right?
Yeah.
For your investigations.
Yeah.
So what is it that made you so famous, do you know?
Okay, I mean, it is not being famous. I guess this is being known.
Well, known. I'm using the word famous, but
Yes,
however you want to think.
So, first of all, in Turkey, I'm the first and last female UFO researcher.
Yes.
I started to write articles when I was very young.
Okay.
In the newspapers, in the magazines in Turkey first. And people loved them, readers loved them. So my first book was published when I was 25 years old. It was a UFO book. And then other books. And what I was telling, I think, was what the people needed to read. They needed it because most of the people had paranormal experiences or UFO related experiences, and they needed answers. When you give the answers to the people, they want to hear you more. And this is a reaction. And I think I received the knowledge from somewhere and I gave it.
Okay.
And I'm still doing the same thing.
But did you see UFOs yourself?
Oh yes, I did. I had UFO sighting experiences, but it is not very important. I mean, even though I didn't see, I will do the same thing. Of course, seeing a huge round shape, red globe in the sky was very exciting. So I saw.
Right.
But again, it is not so important.
I agree. Well, okay, but what about the Turkey, the government of Turkey and the what we call the secret space program? Do you think that there is a secret space program here in Turkey, or is Turkey involved and aware of it and this sort of thing?
Okay, if there is a secret space program, as it is secret, I wouldn't know it.
Oh, really? Well,
If it is secret.
but we have. Okay, I don't know, but I have whistleblowers, as you know. We call them whistleblowers, right?
Yeah.
And they are people that have worked in the military for 40 years, and they get out, and sometimes they violate the security oath,
They
and they
speak
tell
up.
the truth.
Yeah. Here is the thing. First of all, in Turkey we are lucky because Turkish press, Turkish televisions, Turkish newspapers are very much open-minded in these subjects. You were asking how did you become famous? Because newspapers, because magazines were very open.
Okay.
Whenever there is a UFO sighting, it's on the headlines. It's on the news. If
Okay.
there is a photograph, if there is a video shooting, I mean, there is no cover up. People doesn't hide these things. People share these things, and television channels, and magazines, and daily newspapers, mainstream newspapers. I mean, it's very impressive. The most important, the most serious newspapers give place on the front page to UFO sightings.
I see. What about the imam? The imam.
All religious authorities,
Yes.
they also accept the existence of the extraterrestrials. Because there are information in our Holy Book Quran and the verses.
Sure.
It refers that human race or the Earth planet is not the only one. In the universe there are other dimensions, there are other systems. Actually, in Quran it says that there are 18,000 different levels of life.
Okay.
So that's why religious authorities accept it.
Okay. So it's not such a problem.
No, it is not. Also, I mean, not only in Turkey and the other Islamic countries, Islamic investigators, they proved that extraterrestrial existence has been real.
Well, we know that there are spaceports in various places in Lebanon.
Stargates.
Well, actually, some of them are actually constructed. They are ancient sites that were where they had spaceships going in and out. From what I understand. You believe Göbekli Tepe to be such a thing?
Definitely, of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
so talk about that. Tell me.
So in Turkey, okay, we are talking about stargates, and in my conferences I showed them with photographs and with pictures. So I think Anunnaki and the reptilians are coming to this planet from the stargates.
Sure.
And there are two different kinds of stargates. Natural ones, which existed on the Earth always, and artificial ones.
Sure.
So, but natural ones, they are related with the cosmic vibrations and everything. They were active for a while, and some of them are not active anymore because the cosmic effects has changed. Okay, but the artificial ones may be still used. I think Göbekli Tepe is one of them. They say that the archaeologists and the scientists, when they found Göbekli Tepe, they said that this is the first temple of the human race. This is the first worshipping place of the human race. Okay then, what was the first religion? Nobody can give an answer to this. What was the first prophet? What did they worship? What was their God? What was the religion? There are no answers. I'm very happy that archaeologists, I'm very happy that scientists found, excavated Göbekli Tepe, but they don't have unlimited answers. They have limited knowledge. So it wasn't a worshipping place. It wasn't a temple. It was a meeting place.
Okay.
It was an airport.
All right.
Interdimensional airport.
All right. And how do you know this? Did you have people that came and gave you this information, or is this your intuition, or how do you think about this?
Information, no. Intuition and personal investigation.
Okay.
And when you look at that again, I mean, if it was a worshipping place, what was the religion? I mean, okay, when you say a church is a worshipping place, yes, there is a religion, there is a holy book, right? There is a prophet,
Sure.
there is a God, there are angels, saints, everything. So, what was that? in Göbekli
Well,
Tepe?
yes, I can say that the reason I'm here is because I have a witness from the Secret Space Program. His name is Captain Mark Richards. He's actually in jail in Northern California. That I've interviewed him now I was supposed to do a fourth interview recently and was interrupted in that, but 3 times, and he talks about Göbekli Tepe, and he says that this is a spaceport, and he says it is a meeting place. So you're quite right in as far as he's concerned.
Yeah,
This is what he also says.
I never heard about this gentleman.
Right.
This is the first time I hear his name from you, but I would like to listen your interviews with him.
Sure. Well, so, you agree, you and he are agreeing, and I'm interested to know if there's other people. Are there researchers here in Turkey that talk to you that also research these places?
Okay, there are some people who went there, but what can they do? They take photographs, they take video shootings,
Yes.
and then they speak. I mean, when we go there, only for a day visit, we are not going to find a crashed UFO there.
Sure.
We are not going to meet with the extraterrestrial visitors there, because it is already done and gone. It is in the past. But this could be done. Hopefully next time we can spend more time there.
Sure.
So I think we have to check the radioactivity in the area. And
That's
there are
a good
some
idea.
electronical equipments, electronical cameras, which shows you the change of the energy levels. And special cameras, what's it called?
Infrared.
Okay. So if it is possible, if we are allowed, we have to take some video shootings as well as photographs, but we have to check the vibrations of the location
Yes.
electronically, because it gives you as the numbers, high levels, low levels, the change. And sometimes when you go somewhere, let's say now it's the summer now, okay, when you enter into a place, it suddenly gets very cold. You feel very cold. I mean, some people told me about these experiences. When they step in a particular place in the summer, they feel very cold. Why this is happening?
Sure.
And when they come back to the original position, again it is normal temperature. So, I mean, this kind of investigations can be done.
Well, are you aware of, for example, of the Stargate in Iraq and maybe other Stargates even here in Turkey?
Yes. Another Stargate was the Cappadocia region. Because Cappadocia underground cities is a big mystery. And even the official historians, even the official archaeologists say that they were built 10,000 years ago. Because our history goes back to 6,000 years ago, written history. But if official archaeologists say that this was built 10,000 years ago, we have to think about 50,000 years ago. So, when Hittite race came, underground cities of Cappadocia was already done. It was ready. So Hittites used them. So what is Cappadocian underground cities? They are caves inside of the natural rocks formations, and it is a huge city. Today, it is a museum open to public, but only 6 levels are open. The original is 27 levels.
Oh, wow.
It goes down there, under the ground, 27 levels.
This is like Malta, these ancient
Yes.
sites where they don't let you in,
Yes.
you know. So is the hypogeum, they call it.
Yeah.
And they will only let you in a very little way, because I went inside, and it's amazing, but you can't see, and yet you know, they know, even the locals know there's lots of levels, and they won't let you in.
Yeah. Now the Cappadocian underground cities were built for people, for a group of beings to live, because obviously they needed to hide, they needed to be inside of the earth. In many other countries, people believe that reptilians built the underground cities because they were not allowed to live on the surface for many reasons. Some people say that they cannot be out on the sun. Some people say that because of the radiation, because they were hiding from another race, whatever is the reason. But again, thousands of people lived there in the underground of cities, underground cities of Cappadocia. And now it is a museum. It is open to public. But some of my friends went there, and they managed to go down there, escaped from the tourist guide,
Oh, yeah?
and they meditated, which is essential. And yes, they were visited by a being, interdimensional being, with a hood. They didn't see his face, but they saw the red glowing eyes. And it came from one cave door, and they had an encounter, and the being went through from his body, inside of his body.
Oh, one of your friends?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That must have been quite stunning.
Yeah, it is.
Was this being tall? Yeah.
Taller than a normal human race, but it wasn't huge. I mean, I would say probably more than 5 feet, but I mean, not a huge, gigantic being.
Okay. One thing I'm wondering about, though, is that Göbekli Tepe is not known in tourism here in Turkey very well.
Because it is a new archaeological place. I mean, they are still doing archaeological excavations. It is not completely done. And yes, they opened up part of the constructions. They say temple, but I don't want to say temple. The formations and the T-shaped stones.
Yes.
Some of them are open, but not all of them. I mean, I think it will be necessary 4 or 5 more years to get ready exactly for tourism.
Do you hear about the United States getting involved in the excavation of some of these temples, or not temples, but ancient sites here in Turkey? Do you hear about, because I can tell you that in other countries, the British and the U.S. are notorious for going in, like in Egypt, and trying to take control of a dig, an archaeological dig, also trying to barter with the government to get control. Like if there is a crashed UFO, they go in and they pay money, and then they take control. This goes on very often. Perhaps you've heard of it.
I didn't hear such a thing. But if there is such a situation now, it is very difficult to hide it from the humans, because now, look, I mean, everybody has cameras, the pocket size. I mean, our iPhones, we can take videos, photographs, and everything. And how can you hide?
Well, the thing where it does happen in Egypt. Have you been to Egypt?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet.
Well, one thing I reported on was, for example, the pyramids at night, they are still secreting away. Nobody understands what it is they're taking. But there will be trucks coming and backing, up, and then they will be loaded with something from inside the pyramid or from underground, and they would disappear. And they have been photographed by researchers,
Yes.
but it never hits the news or any of this, in the mainstream or any of that. In other words, there are digs going on. Even the what's called the labyrinth in Egypt.
Yeah.
Perhaps you've heard of it.
Yeah.
Was supposed to be open to the public, and it still is not. There was said that there was supposed to be information about Atlantis in the labyrinth. Have you investigated anything about Atlantis here in Turkey, for example?
Yes. Actually, Atlantis and Mu, lost continents, is a very well-known topic in Turkey. And the most important thing is the Mu, Lemuria. It's also called Lemuria. The founder of Turkish Republic, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, he was very much interested in our first president, the founder of the Turkish Republic, after the First World War. He was very much interested in the origin of Turkish race, and he personally did lots of investigations about the lost continent Mu. He sent investigators to Mexico because in Mexico the Mayan civilization had the rest of the Mu civilization. Here is the thing. Lemuria Mu had a very advanced technology and had a very advanced race, right? And I mean, originally they were extraterrestrial or intraterrestrial, whatever. But when the continent sank, when the civilization finished, some of the survivors came to Asia, some of the survivors went to North America, Central America, and South America. So in America, it started native Indians of North America in the Central and South America, Inca, Maya, Aztec civilizations. And the ones that went to Asia, it started the first Turkish races. That's why today the symbolism of ancient Turkish races and the ancient and native Indians is the same. Their belief system, their mythology, their lifestyle, and original Turkish race was pagan, shamanic, before we became Islamic. So Mustafa Kemal Atatürk was very much interested in this, and he knew that Turkish race's origins are Mu, Lemuria,
Okay, very
are
interesting.
cosmic. Actually, he was the first exopolitician. I mean, we talk about exopolitics.
Sure.
So he was the first exopolitician because he was the first president that he was looking for the roots of his nation in the sky.
Okay, but this is Lemuria, so what about Atlantis? Anything about this?
Okay, Atlantis as well. We think that Atlantis was located in Atlantic Ocean.
Sure.
So, but again, the survivors came to different parts of the world, and they started the very first ancient civilizations, just like Egyptians, just like Celtic.
And so first of all, you feel that there are, because in Malta, there's a great sort of mystery around Atlantis and the relationship.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I know I've done many interviews with experts in this area, and there's a big controversy as to what happened with the sinking of Atlantis. And I even have information from one person, Asha Nadim, who's written a number of books, and I don't know if you know who she is. But she is talking about there being two Atlantis civilizations, basically, and they sunk at different times. One was more sort of, disastrous, I guess you'd say, than the other. But the people of Atlantis escaped to places like Egypt, to Malta. Also, they hid things for example, it has come to me, in Malta, because they knew that their island was going to go was going to sink, and that there was going to be a cataclysm, and there was going to be volcanism and all kinds of things, right? So they made preparations. Have you ever heard of anything like this hidden here in Turkey?
Well, officially not. Officially not. But what can I say about this? Ancient Turks, ancient Turkish races, long before Islam religion became our official religion, they knew about Atlantis.
Oh, really?
Yes, they knew about the lost continent, destroyed continent. And when they hate somebody, when they are angry to somebody, they say, I hope your life will be just like Atlantis.
Really?
Yes.
So there's a sort of folk.
Yes, it's a part
tradition.
of the belief system. It's a part of the mythology, and they knew it.
Well, what about, I mean, we know about Plato, for example.
Yeah.
And there have been, I think it was Herodotus also spoke about Atlantis.
Yeah.
But do you know of any Turkish writers or any of that who have written about Atlantis?
It is in the oral traditions, oral mythology. It is in the public national belief systems.
Okay. So, but nothing, there's no
as far as I know,
texts,
no.
as far as you know.
Because that kind of research started after the Turkish Republic. And before, you know what, the Turkish scriptures was in Arabic letters. Because after Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, we had the revolution of the language, we had the revolution of the written text, and we adopted the Latin alphabet. Before, it was what we called Ottoman language, ancient Turkish. It is Turkish, they speak Turkish, but the written language is in Arabic. So we cannot read them.
Well, the calligraphy is Turkish, isn't it? I mean, you have a amazing, calligraphy.
They used Arabic alphabet.
Yes.
Yes, but
So-
we cannot read it. We don't know how to read it.
Really?
Yes, because my great-grandfathers knew how to read it, but my generation doesn't know. I have to go to a special language school to learn it. So probably there are resources, but as we cannot read it, we don't know.
Fascinating. Yes.
Yeah.
What is the relationship? I don't know if this is the purpose of this interview. You're not going to be able to answer this as a big question. But what is, because when we've gone here, we see that there seems to be, I don't know if it's an animosity or some kind of distinction between being Turkish and being Arab. So can you explain to me what is this? Because you both do follow Islam, right?
Yeah.
So what is this?
So, think about this. Think about two countries. Again, Spain follows Christian religion, right?
Yes.
And Americans follows Christian religions too. But what is the difference between them?
A lot.
A lot.
But these countries are right next to each other, right? Here in Turkey and well, I don't know what countries you want to talk about. Greece on the one hand, certainly close. Israel, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, all of these are here. And at one time, you may agree, this was all one empire, right?
Yeah. So history, religion, social studies are very much linked to each other, cultural connections. The Turkish race is a different race, and our origin, official origin, is Central Asia.
I see.
The first Turkish races started in Central Asia, and they came from Mu, from the Lemuria. And when the first Turkish races, groups started, their religion wasn't Islam. It was shamanic, just like Native Indians.
Okay,
in some point, Turkish people was also Buddhist.
Okay.
So it was the religion, it was the lifestyle, religious beliefs of the Central Asia. But then Turkish race immigrated to today's Turkey, to Anatolia. Okay. Meanwhile, as I said, Christian religion started in Turkey too, because the first Christian churches are in Turkey, in Cappadocia, by the way. when Christian religion was accepted as the official religion. And it's very interesting, you know. In Roman Empire, of course, Christian religion was banned, was forbidden. I mean, they were killing first Christians in horrible ways, Romans. But after that, Emperor Constantine, he gave his name Constantinople to this city, to Istanbul. He was an interesting guy. He was seeing UFOs all the time.
Really?
And he saw a flying object in the sky in the shape of a cross. And we know there are still today so many people, they see flying objects, UFOs in the cross. And after that, he decided to accept Christian religion as his own religion, and he decided to make Christian religion as the official religion of the Rome after some paranormal experiences.
Oh.
And guess what? Constantinople, I mean Istanbul, this city, was the first Christian city of the world.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. And of course, history, politics, life, time changes. And Islam was the religion of the Arab countries, Arab race. Ottomans decided to accept Islam as our official religion. That's why, yes, Turkish race and Arabic race are different races. But we accepted their religion and we became Islamic. And today in Turkey, most of the society, most of the population is following Islam.
Okay.
But as a race, yes, we are very different. Our language is different. Arabic is a completely different language. Turkish is a completely different language. But in time, of course, we adopted some words from Arabic. But we are speaking different languages.
But you can't read
No, we cannot.
Interesting.
It's very difficult because Arabic alphabet is different. I mean, just like Korean alphabet, just like Hebrew alphabet, it is a kind of different scripture.
Yes.
It is not Latin alphabet.
Okay,
We
so
cannot read it. It's very difficult.
in terms of Turkey, is there a conflict at all with regard? Do you have any sort of small, maybe Christian holdovers that kept the Christian religion, or any of that, or was that not allowed by your, rulers?
No. I mean, in Turkey, religion. There are so many Christian churches everywhere. And even in my area, I live in the other side of the city. In my neighborhood, there are 4 or 5 churches. They are still active because there is different, how can I say, Orthodox, Protestant, Gregorian, different groups.
So are they operational?
Yes, they are functional. They are operational.
But are they Turkish people going to these
Yes,
churches?
of course. There are so many. Yeah.
You have Turkish Christians, is
Yes,
what
there
you're
are
saying.
so many Turkish Christians.
Okay.
They decided to follow Christian religion. And there are pastors, Turkish pastors.
Okay.
Some of them, they decided that they want to be Catholic. Some of them Protestant. Some of them Christian. There are some
Well,
of
there's
them
also
Mormons.
Hagia Sophia. This is a
Hagia
whole...
Sophia. It's a historical place, a mystical place. And there are so many Buddhists in Turkey. I mean, they were not Buddhists, but they studied and they liked it and they became Buddhists. And there are so many Satanists in Turkey.
Right.
There are so many atheists in Turkey. So the religion issue is something very personal. It is in your heart.
Sure.
It is in your heart. So I guess it is a personal experience and it is open.
So the current ruler of whatever president,
yeah.
and he's also backed by an imam, right? So there, is it Khomeini? No, what is his name? The imam.
No. In Turkey, it is not like that.
You don't have.
No. We don't have this. I mean, it has nothing to do with Iran. The Turkish government is a completely democratic government, and religious aspects and the government aspects completely are different. They're separate. I mean, the president has nothing to do officially with the religious aspects of the life. It is different. Okay, so yes, as I said, in ancient archaeology, wherever you look at, you find something about extraterrestrial visitors or intraterrestrial visitors. And there is lots of information about reptilians on Turkish land everywhere, including Istanbul, Ephesus, Pergamon, Cappadocia, Göbekli Tepe as well, so many places. And in different museums, in different archaeological museums in Turkey, I'm going to show you, I'm going to send you the pictures.
Okay.
There are depictions of people with horns.
Ah.
So, you know, some witnesses describe the reptilians with horns.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them see them with wings. And you said something before, and you said that vampire legends, vampire mythology comes from the reptilians.
Mm.
Yes, definitely, because they need the human blood. Reptilians still today need the human blood. After Hittite civilization in Turkey, Urartu civilization started. And I'm going to send you the pictures again. And they were very much connected with the gods. Of course, they were not gods. They were just a different race of people in human blood, in human flesh, in human body. And when you look at the Urartu temples, they had temples. They were altars, just altars.
Uh-huh.
I mean, what they call temple is a slaughterhouse. Where
God.
they kill human, they kill animals.
Yes.
And again, I was talking about the Ephesus and the Diana worshipping, Artemis worshipping. It was based on the blood. It was based on the killing the people. It was based on the human sacrifices. That's why the first Christians needed to do something to stop the brutality. And a very good sample to reptilian mind, reptilian rulers, is the Roman Empire. As you know, Roman Empire, they were different caste systems, and most of the population was slaves, and they were using the gladiators
Yes.
in order to kill each other. It was the best entertainment for people. It was the best social activity in the huge arenas, in the theaters. And they wanted to see blood. This is the reptilian mind.
Okay, and you have the hippodrome here, yes?
Oh yes, just right
So-
in the corner. Yes, just right in
And
the
this
corner.
is just such a place.
Yes.
Yes?
In hippodrome, there weren't gladiator battles. There were mostly sports activities with horses. But all over Turkey, in the ancient sites, that they found the old gladiator schools. And even in Ephesus, they found the skeletons of the gladiators. And also in Roman Empire, you know, the best thing was to throw the slaves in front of the lions.
Right.
So, I mean, there are so many television series about
Did you
this.
think that this also happened
Also
here?
reptilian. Yes.
The slaves being thrown to the
yes,
lions
of course,
here in
of
Turkey
course,
as well.
Of course. I mean, wherever Roman Empire went, they used the same methods. It was all reptilian. Definitely,
Yeah,
100%.
it's incredible. Now, you have a book that you wrote. I
Which
haven't
one?
read it, but I heard about it.
Yeah.
It is this book, something about, it's a recent book, I think, that you were talking on Coast to Coast about it.
Okay, I mean, it was published in the United States in English. That book,
Possibly.
here, Anomalist Books. Anomalist Books published it. Okay, it is the life story of an abductee, contactee. I met this gentleman in New Jersey, in Hoboken, because I was living in New Jersey, in Hoboken, where Frank Sinatra was born. And actually, I met him in a UFO group in New York City, inside of the New York City. So we found out that we live in the same neighborhood in Hoboken. We were almost in the same area. So I wrote about his life experiences, his stories. His name is David Huggins, and I highly recommend it you for interview because he still lives in New Jersey, Hoboken.
Okay.
And he's an artist. He's a painter, he's a designer, he's an artist. And today he only makes paintings about the extraterrestrials that he met. And his first abductions started when he was 8 years old. Then they were living in a farm in the natural rural area of Georgia. And you know, generally abductions start in the nighttime, right? They come to your bedroom, whatever. But in his case, everything started in the daytime. When he was playing outside of the house in the field, he first met with the hairy guy, you know, the small hairy guys.
I see.
There was a television show, Alf.
Small hair.
Oh,
really? Yeah.
Alf.
Yes.
There was a
Yes.
television show
Yes.
in 1970. Actually, it is not Alfred, it is alien life form.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
I never knew that. Okay.
Alien life
That's
form.
funny, yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
that's hilarious.
I mean, an extraterrestrial
Okay.
comes to an
I
American
see.
family and they live together, whatever. It was
Ah.
very popular in Turkey, by the way, in
Wow.
1990s. Yes.
Okay.
So he started to see a creature just like him,
Ah.
and after that, a huge praying mantis.
Uh-huh.
But this all happened in the daytime.
Mhm.
And after that, the Grace started to abduct him, and his abductions, more than abduction, they lived practically together during all his life. And I shouldn't tell everything about the book.
No, that's
People
okay.
can buy and read.
Yes, yes.
So he has the paintings at his home. He
okay.
doesn't sell them. It's
Ah.
not for sale.
I see.
Yes, he opens exhibitions, he makes art shows, but he doesn't sell them
Uh-huh.
because it's his life story.
Ah, very interesting.
So it's
So you wrote a book about his life.
Yes.
Okay. But there's another book that you wrote about reptilians.
I
something
wrote it in Turkey.
Yes.
In Turkish.
So it's not.
Yes.
Is it not available in English?
It is
then?
not available in English because actually I am talking about these topics in the conferences in English
Yes.
anyway. So it is the same topics, but it is not translated into English.
Oh.
Yes, it is only in Turkey. It's about reptilian cases, history of reptilians in Turkey, and the basic reptilian headquarters in Turkey. Yes.
Okay. Yes. And what is the name of that book?
In Turkish?
Well, can you translate it into English at all?
Well, I basically it is the history of reptilian race in ufology.
I see.
The translation.
Now, would you be interested in translating it into English or having it translated?
Well,
into
you know what? It would be very nice, but of course, everything based on to find a good editorial,
Uh-huh.
editing company, publishing company.
Yes.
I mean, when there is a publishing company, why not? Of course.
Okay.
It will be a
Well, maybe someone
wonderful
will see
idea.
this interview and then.
Yes, why not? Of course.
Now, I asked you a question and we were interrupted because the prayer was happening. I was wondering, I didn't want to lose the question. What it was, does your president talk about UFOs? Has he seen any or any of this?
That's the thing. As far as we know, as far as I know, I never saw a report or a news about this.
Okay.
Him talking about these topics. But, I mean, the actual president. But many years ago, another president, another prime minister, he is deceased now.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Turgut Özal in 1990s. He saw a UFO in the airport together with many other people.
Uh-huh.
And it was on the news immediately. It was on the television news immediately.
Okay.
Actually, that case, it is interesting because during that time, in a row, a few nights people saw the same UFOs in the airport in Ankara, in our capital city. First, the British Airways pilots saw them, and then everybody saw.
Uh-huh.
And it was on the news with the photographs.
And have you seen this photograph?
Yes, of course. I
And
showed
what-
it in my conferences.
Okay, and what did, and maybe we can...
It was like a light
okay.
source. Of
So
course, it was in the night sky.
Uh-huh.
It was dark, but like a moving bright object. But the case is interesting because before and after that sighting with the Prime Minister on the same location, on the same airport, People saw UFOs and multiple UFOs.
Ah.
And then, the most important thing, they were coming very close to the ground, and the jets, F-16 jets, they tried to chase them, but they went until a certain point, and of course they disappeared and they came back. Nothing happened. I mean, nobody was injured or nobody was abducted, but I mean, it was normal. A prime minister.
And what year was this? Do you remember
it was
the year?
91, probably 90s, early 90s. Okay. Yes, early 90s.
Okay.
But I showed it on my conferences many times. Yeah.
Okay, so we've been here for a while, and I just have a few other questions, and then we'll let you go. Even though it's been fascinating, and I would love to do this again sometime. And if we make it back to Turkey and we are able to do this, go on a tour,
hopefully,
then you can join us, and we'll have many conversations like this. But
hopefully.
St. George, I understand that you talk about St. George, and I know that we call them the Illuminati, who use St. George as a special symbol, and oftentimes they have various places named for St. George. He is quite revered by a certain group of what we call Illuminati. What do you know about him?
Okay, St. George was born in Turkey as well. And he was born in Cappadocia. And in that time, the people was having problems with some reptilians in Cappadocia region. And now the mythology starts, the legend starts. They say that there was a huge reptilian monster-like dragon, and the case of Cappadocia, and it needed human sacrifices. And they were giving him young girls. And after that, they needed to get rid of the monster. But these are symbolic things. There wasn't a one monster, there were many reptilians actually. Okay. And St. George, he wasn't a saint then, he was just a person. He slayed, he killed the monster, he killed the dragon, and then he became a Christian saint, and he became St. George. But at the same time, in England, he has a very important place as St. Michael. Because sometimes it is St. Michael, sometimes St. George. But in England it is very popular, right, St. George?
Yes.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yes. Absolutely. They have a holiday, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Turkey he became a saint, he killed the dragon. Now, I think again, overall, reptilians existed in Turkey, they still exist by the way, as well as in many other countries of the world. And Christian religion was a revolution against the reptilian rulers. Because Roman
against
Empire,
human sacrifice,
against everything, against all brutality, against all violence. Because Roman Empire, it's the same, reptilians. The Roman Empire leaders was controlled by the reptilians. It was a reflection of the reptilians.
Well, yes, and actually the Vatican, we say, is also very involved in all of this.
So the first Christians, of course, needed to do something to stop this. And look, as I said, in Ephesus, in Pergamon, in other parts of Turkey, esoteric practices, black magic, was practiced by the people because reptilians were teaching. Christian religion forbids them. For Christians, esoteric knowledge, even astrology, is something very bad. Because they were tired of the black magicians. Because they were tired of the negative use, bad use, abuse of the esoteric knowledge. So that's why Christian religion started to finish slavery, because slavery, I mean, the Roman Empire is based on the slaves. Everything is on based slavery. So the Christians finished the slavery. It was actually a pagan religion, reptilian religion. Pagan religion is reptilian religion. So that was they were trying to do, and I guess until a certain point they were successful, but pagan religion practices are still going on. It is not finished.
Well, I'm not going to address all of that because it's quite complex, I think.
Very complex. There are different kinds.
Yes.
It's not one kind.
But what do you know, if anything, about Alexandria and
Egypt?
Yes. This ancient site of Alexandria, because it was associated with what you call the Constantinople and this time period, and there were many ancient texts that were burned in the library. Was there any? Is there any memory or any information in Turkey about the burning of the Library of Alexandria and what went on?
So, I think it was the logical reaction of the people who were tired of the reptilians, because they wanted to erase everything about them.
Okay.
Because yes, there is a source of information, okay? It comes from somewhere. But again, if you use it for negative things, it is harmful. So I guess people was very much tired of that. The same thing happened in South America. The same thing happened in South America. South American civilizations had lots of information, cosmic information, in fact, directly with the ancient astronauts. And again, when the first Spanish invaders went there in the name of the Catholic religion, they destroyed everything. I mean, they burned all the codexes, all the books.
Or, well, that's what they said they did. We believe there's a mystery there as well. In other words, that there were, well, has to do with the Templars and all of this. Did you have some influence by the Templars or by that during those eras coming here in Turkey?
Yeah, of course. There is lots of movement.
And so do you also have knights, what we call knights, or this kind of thing?
They still exist.
Here in Turkey?
Yeah.
Are they secret societies?
Yeah, of course, under other names.
Really?
Under other names. Next time I will take you.
Oh, okay. Now I'm very interested. Okay, lovely.
Exist,
very
course.
Interesting, yes.
They still exist.
Well, this place has such, it's a wealth of ancient history, yes?
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, I personally don't belong to any groups. I'm not the member of any society.
Sure.
I always worked and lived independently. I don't want to be labeled with that group or this group or whatever.
Understandable.
It's a personal choice. But some people, they like to belong to a group. They like to follow the instructions of a leader. I don't like personally. But I saw something. There are different brotherhoods, there are different groups, right? And they are so faithful to their ideology. They worship and they work for that ideology. So that's why for thousands of years they don't lose their power. Still today, in 2015, they work and they are faithfully work for their groups.
Oh yes, absolutely.
They keep it strong and they use the technology.
Right.
And they use all the modern resources. But they work very hard. This is what I see.
Okay.
They are not, at least we can say that they are hard workers. They are not lazy.
Oh, all right. That's fair enough. Yeah, absolutely. And they are dedicated.
Very much dedicated. Very much dedicated.
Okay, one last question, and then I will let you go. Here in Istanbul, are there underground cities under this city?
Actually, they found out interconnected chambers. I mean, probably it is the beginning of the city, just in this area.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
In Hippodrome.
Ah.
Yes. because they say that under Istanbul, yes, there are underground cities.
Yes.
I mean, chambers, passages, and they are linked to the islands. You know, we have islands here,
Yes.
Princess Islands,
Mm-hmm.
in this area, very close.
Yes.
So they are linked to the islands, and they found out some chambers, some underground places in this area, in Hippodrome.
Oh, wow.
There was a television show in American television, probably
Oh.
History Channel.
I'll have to look into
Yes.
it. Yes.
Underground cities of the world, and they made a very interesting episode in Turkey a few
Okay.
years ago.
Well, do you know anything about the obelisk that's in the area of the Hippodrome?
Obelisk, and did you see the serpent column?
Yes.
Okay, serpent column is our expertise. It's from the reptilians.
Yes.
Serpent column.
Yes.
And now the serpent column was brought from the Delphi temple in Greece.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Okay, it is the symbolic of the reptilians. But at the top, there were 3 snake hats. They are gone now.
Oh.
They don't exist.
Ah.
One of the hats is in the Istanbul Archaeological Museum. And I can send you the picture again.
Okay,
Yes.
very good.
Yes.
Yes.
The rest of the column is just right here.
Mm-hmm.
And the hat is Istanbul Archaeological Museum.
Okay. Oh, very strange. Very interesting. Well,
I will
this
send you
is
the picture, yeah.
yeah, this is amazing. So, thank you so much
Oh, thanks
for
to
your
you.
service to
It's
humanity.
Wonderful. It's
And
wonderful.
it's very fascinating to talk to you
Same
and compare
here.
notes and hear all of this from a Turkish point of view and from this amazing history that you have. And it's so wonderful that you have done so much to research it. And so I hope we can talk again. And,
Hopefully,
and
yes.
thank you. And we will be back. And I will also tell you what happens when I go to Göbekli Tepe.
Yes.
And, in actually 24 hours we'll be on our way.
Great.
So,
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much. And enjoy your Istanbul experience. Enjoy Göbekli Tepe. And I cannot wait. I mean, I will be waiting for your responses.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
and
much.
send
Thank
me
you.
your photographs so we
Yeah,
can
of
have
course.
this.
Definitely.
Excellent. Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Bye-bye.